Hello, hello, hello. Kevin here, and welcome to my BookTube channel, where I never post anything at all. I tried to reboot this channel back at the beginning of this year, rambled on a little bit about books that I read, and then nothing. Very disappointing. I'm sure you were all very depressed, but be relieved, because now I am here again, and today I want to talk to you about the 10 favorite books that I've read this year thus far. I have been trying this year to read a book every day, and if okay, so I'm at 216 books for the year, which is a lot of books, and I'm going to talk to you about the 10 favorite ones that I've read. First on my list, which is not ordered in any particular way, is Nemesis by Agatha Christie. Now, this is a Miss Marple. It's the penultimate Miss Marple novel. It's very, very, very good. I was surprised because I didn't enjoy the Miss Marples as much as the Poirot series, and even then, I feel like Christie has this weird way of, the book seemed to just get a little bit less exciting as we go further along in the decade. But Nemesis is fantastic. If you have not read a lot of Agatha Christie, I have not read And Then There Were None, but apparently that's the one that everyone's supposed to have read. But I can definitely recommend the entirety of the Poirot series, which I wrapped up this year as well, and the entirety of the Miss Marple series, which I've just recently wrapped up. But Nemesis, I think, is probably my favorite of the Miss Marple series, though you do need to make sure that you have read, was it Murder on the Caribbean? The Caribbean Mystery? The Caribbean Mystery. You need to make sure that you've read that before Nemesis. Other than that, these are cozy mystery novels, so enjoy. Next on my list is not a book, but actually a series, and this is by Brandon Sanderson, Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians. Now, so I discovered Sanderson last year and read all of his, high epic fantasy stuff and was blown away by it. I was super, super excited. And then he has an urban fantasy series that I read. Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians, that is a series that is designed for middle schoolers, and so I was like, well, that's probably not something worth reading, but then I got impatient. I was like, I want to read more Sanderson stuff. I read it and I was surprised. Like, this holds my attention. This is very enjoyable. It's obviously targeted toward a different audience, but if you are the type of person who likes Sanderson stuff and is like, I need something to tide me over until he publishes more things, which granted is really only like, I need to wait 2 months, go ahead and check out Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians, because it is enjoyable and maybe something you can read with younger siblings or kid. God, do people watch my video has kids? It's weird thinking about like, oh yeah, you, the people that I'm friends with, like, yeah, go read it to your kids. Oh, that's creepy. Moving on. Next we have The Fireman by Joe Hill. Now this is, I don't remember, somebody recommended this to me. I think maybe on Twitter or something, or maybe it was just off of Goodreads. This is absolutely fantastic. I consume most of my books via audiobooks because I am a lazy person, or really just because for my day job I stare at text on a computer screen all day, and so staring at text the whole rest of the time is a little bit more challenging, so I listen to audiobooks. This was narrated by Kate Mulgrew, and this is amazing. This is a story, Kate Mulgrew of Star Trek Voyager fame, this book is based on the premise that there is this plague that has spread that causes spontaneous combustion, which is a very weird premise for a book, and one that you think, like, all right, maybe that's the sort of thing where doesn't make it past first draft. But shockingly, it ends up being a fantastic book, and I would highly recommend it. So go ahead and pick that up if you're interested. Also, along the lines of plagues and stuff, I want to recommend Feed by Myra Grant. There's another book, Feed, that I believe I actually talked about in this channel by M.T. Anderson that I hated. I hated it. It was just like, get off my lawn, kids, and their technology and their cell phones. This is not that. This is a novel about a zombie apocalypse, but it handles it in a really interesting way because it talks about issues of journalistic integrity, and I loved it. I need to read the rest of the series, but highly, highly, highly recommend it. Again, that's Feed by Myra Grant. Now, to break away from fiction real quick, because I've been reading a lot of fiction. I've been reading a lot of nonfiction too, but I don't have as many of those on my list. And there's one that really stood out, and that is Deep Work by Cal Newport, and kind of talking about the idea of focus and our multitasking attention, and in addition, just talking about some of the ways that you can set aside some techniques for trying to improve your productivity by not doing those things. So kind of first making the argument that it's necessary for us to stop multitasking, but then also, even if you've accepted that, it's sometimes very difficult to go like, all right, maybe I need to do fewer things at the same time, but how? Because there's a lot of... Next we have Red Notice by Bill Browder. This is a nonfiction story about a guy who does business in Russia and then ends up on the wrong side of the Russian government. It's kind of creepy. it feels like it's like a spy thriller from like the 40s. I don't know. I don't have a good sense of when Russian history happened. The 60s, the 70s. I don't know. Creepy KGB times. But it is contemporary, which is all the more terrifying. Fascinating read, and something that was recommended to me by one of my coworkers, and I'm definitely recommending it on to you, because this was just an incredible and just scary read. Like, this is still a thing? Really? All right, I guess. I was trying to go through and read a bunch of the stuff that was up for Hugo nominations this year so that I could have an opinion, because if you haven't read the, it's like, I would like to have an opinion. This one is not one, but it is one of the, because so many of those are series, I had to go back and, there are some prerequisite books to read, but Ancillary Justice by Ann Leckie is very, very good. It is a book that involves a self-aware spaceship, which is interesting, and it deals with the issues of gender. It's a fascinating. Just go read it. I'm not even gonna tell you. Just read it. It's good. Also on the list of Hugo nominations, this one was nominated, and this would be my pick to win if it were up to me. Though I have no idea how really these things play out. But Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is a fantastic book. Naomi Novik also has, I just read His Majesty's Dragon, which is also very good, sort of an Anne McCaffrey meets alternate history craziness. But that would definitely be my pick to win it. So read that as well. Out of nonfiction, I'm very excited to be able to recommend Breaking the Chains of Gravity by Amy Shira Teitel, who you may know from YouTube as Vintage Space, or you may remember her from if you watch Discovery News or things like that. She's on there. This book was really, really good. I'm always nervous when I read stuff by people that I not know, but like I'm familiar with, because I'm like, what if I don't? I don't know. I loved it. If you want to know about rocket programs and Nazis, yeah, it's fun. Go ahead, read the book. It is good. I recommend it. And then to wrap things up, this is a book where I can recommend the first 2/3 of it. And this is another Hugo nominated. This is Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson. I have a very mixed relationship with Neil Stephenson. I finally finished Snow Crash, which has taken me about 15 years to actually get through. Because it's like I like this concept, but man, it's hard to read. Seven Eves, the world is ending. Okay? The world is ending, and we are now going to try and survive the apocalypse by hanging out on the ISS. And it's fascinating. Neil Stephenson is a very classic sci-fi writer, and he's still active and still doing stuff. And kind of a fantastic novel dealing with kind of the science of how these communities form and how we deal with these types of situations, and sort of a mixture of science and sociology and everything. And then there's the last third of the book that's just, I don't know why it was there. I can't, it was frustrating. I was like, this is a really good book. I want to like this. And then but yeah, no, if you're interested about an apocalypse and, if you are planning to flee to the ISS, this is a handbook for you. Guys, this is all that I have for you this week. I am hoping at some point in the future to have a separate recording area, because I've been recording everything in this little office. I'd like to have something that's more, I don't know, maybe book related in the future. But I'm hoping to be back next week on Wednesday. I'm putting videos out here every Wednesday. There should be a book review from stuff that I'm reading in the future. Also, I'm pretty sure out of this entire list, I think this entire list was all audiobooks for me. I've certainly been reading some stuff on paper and words or Kindle or whatever, but a lot of audiobooks. So I can definitely recommend the audiobooks for all of these titles. Let me know what you've been reading this year. Let me know what you have enjoyed. If you have recommendations, I'm really looking to try and read stuff that it would not occur to me to put on my to-read list. So please let me know in the comments. Let me know how you're doing, what you're reading, how are books treating you today, and I will see you next week. Cheers.